What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? We're going to go ahead and get started on today's template. It is short and sweet, but I thought that this would be a lot of fun. Hopefully you enjoy this one. We're going to play with creating some patterns. This has been a while since we've done the patterns. I know that this was class number 122 or 121, but we're bringing it back, and then I have another pattern for you all to play with. And let's go ahead and get into it. All right. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change my workspace. If you have not set up your workspace yet, you want to come to our orientation, our free orientation on Saturday. And not only will you set up your workspace to look like this, but you will also get to create your very first Photoshop file from scratch. And it will be a design that you can rock that very day if you want to print it out. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure that you do that before you come to the Wednesday live classes. It'll make your life and the coach's life a lot easier. All right, so what we're going to do here is go ahead and change out this design now. Now that I have it here, I'm going to quick export as PNG as my image number 1. Just so, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to view my large icons. And I'm going to try this one more again. This will be my variation number 1, so I can keep up with it. And what we're going to do, we have a couple of things here. You don't have to use an image at all. I want you all to know, if you right click on the photo right here, you go to photo 1, turn the eyeball off. There is an area here where you can just spell out your message or put your brand name here. It is as simple as that. Of course, you know, we like to be extra, so we're going to go ahead and make it extra. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up photo number 1 by double clicking on the thumbnail. And for this one, I'm going to pull in an image. Y'all, don't judge me. I don't know what's really going on in sports, but I found a football player. So we're going to rock with that one because I know football is very popular especially in high school right now. So I want you to think about doing this for your local schools and organizations. Although I show y'all cool stuff that's going on, like congratulations to Sha'carri Richardson. This is amazing, and I immediately thought of her when I was inspired to do this one. All right, so for this one, this is, I want to say Anthony Richardson. I don't know what's going on with Richardsons today in my Googlage, but I'm just Googling things that are going on so I can make this relevant, make y'all excited, and then you all will take this, run with it, and create local hero art. Okay, so I'm just zooming in a little bit here, and then I'm going to, on the left hand side, go to my object selection here. And I'm going to go to the drop down for select subject, go to cloud and hit select subject. It's going to use AI to figure out what I'm trying to cut out, and it does a pretty good job of tracing the image here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the layer mask so that it cleans up that background for me, and that's perfect. Now I will turn off my previous image here. And because I had to reset my settings, I'm going to turn off auto select and turn on transform controls here, so I can get a little bit larger with my image here. And you know how I feel about harsh edges on my images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this one because it already has a layer mask. I'm going to group it, then add a white layer mask here. And then I'll take my paintbrush. I'll make sure that black is in the foreground. I'm going to increase my brush size here. Normally, when I'm fading off an image, I like my brush size to be anywhere from about 400 to 800, depending on the size file that I'm working with. And you'll see I just paint that off right there. Turn on this background color if you want to see if it's actually clean. Looks clean to me. When I close out of this and hit yes to save, now I have my player here, and I'll show you how to make part of the image pop out from the zipper once we kind of get things in place here. All right, and then I'm going to show you how to change the pattern here. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and create a pattern. I'm giving you all two files. I'll go ahead and open up each of them. So you have a name pattern and a monogram pattern. Now keep in mind, you can use whatever pattern you want. You don't even have to use a pattern at all. You can fill this area with an image, or maybe even a texture, right? So you can fill it with what you want. I'm just giving you an idea here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to look for the pattern here. Oh, I have to set the pattern first. So it's not going to automatically change. You actually are going to create your own pattern. So I'm going to start with the simple one, which is for me the monogram one. If you double click, once you open up the file, you're going to double click on where it says double click for monogram. And notice there's some examples here. This one is like LV. This one is like CC. This one is like GG. And basically it's just using similar fonts and styles so that you can create your own version of it. Okay. Now this one, I'm going to create one that just says IA for Innate Academy. And as a matter of fact, you can also do a logo. So let me show you how that goes. If you do the IA, you can just double click on the T here and select the capital I. Double click on the T here, select the capital A, and that will give you the letter straight up. If you want it to be kind of like slanted, like the Louis L, then you can double click on the S, double click on the T here once it's opened up, and then I'm going to change that to an I. And once it's changed here, it will kind of skew that for you. You can choose to move it around and space it out as you wish. And now you kind of have that slanted version of it versus the one that's straight up and down. And you can choose which letter, because some letters will not look good slanted, so you can choose which one you want there. So let's say I have my monogram exactly as I want it. It looks good on here. I'm going to close this out and hit yes to save and watch how it updates here. Now this is not a pattern yet. This is just literally the presentation or the template for the pattern. I'm going to go up to edit and define pattern. And I'm going to put my initials, so IA in the front here. And as soon as you do it, you won't see anything happen, but now it's saved as a pattern. So let's say, for instance, I want to do a pattern with the logo instead. I can double click on here, turn off all my initials, and I'm going to open up this logo. Just a moment. Open image in new tab. So this is what I'm looking at here. I'm just going to right click, save the image. I'll say I want to use a symbol instead of the letters there. I'm giving you an example here. So now I can go File, Place Embedded. Find my logo here. Hit Enter to lock in that transformation. Close it out. Hit Yes to save. And now you'll see that I have the little logos in there, and they're automatically going to be placed in position for me. All right, so now I'm going to save this as a pattern. And let's say, for instance, I want to color this. I'm going to select solid color, choose that blue there, and then right click, create a clipping mask, and let's see, all of my dots are in this folder. It says dividers do not open. Now there are two dividers in there. One is circular and one is square, but if you double click here, you can change from the circle one to the square. So I'm going to change to the circle one just to give you that idea. And now I have the circles instead of the squares. Okay, so in order to save this as a pattern, I have to go Edit, Define Pattern. And I'm just going to put a U because that's my U pattern. Hit yes to save. Okay. And again, nothing's changed yet. I need to click in this area where the pattern fill is. I'll keep the fill that's already here. I'm going to duplicate this layer. Turn off my SR. Then I'm going to double click on pattern. Well, if you indeed created a pattern, you can come to the bottom here. You'll see the last swatch there is exactly what you created. And you can change the scale of it. And this one is not quite full opacity. So let me make it full opacity. And you'll see that you have a pattern here. So I like playing with patterns, especially if it is like mixing and matching and trying to give a little bit of different vibe to different areas, different print areas and emphasis. So there we go. Now I'm going to show you how to change the name pattern. So let's say this is the name of your school or the name of your athlete. Let's go ahead and double click here on the name. Okay. And I'm going to duplicate the layer here, and then we're going to double click on T. Make sure that you install the fonts because the fonts do matter. Let's go ahead and do this one. Let's just say football. Okay, that way you can get a difference of what this looks like here. Now, if it doesn't stretch out all the way, you may want to stretch it out at least to where it is now, because if it's really, really short, it's going to leave too much space on the sides and it's going to look a little funny. The whole point of this is that it's not really legible, but it looks like it is a pattern or print. So in order to stretch it out, you have to do Control T. Make sure that you're selected on the layer. If you don't have Show Transform Controls on, which I do at the top here, then you'll have to hold down the Shift key and stretch it just side to side. You don't want it to go outside of the bounds here. All right, I'll hit enter to lock in my transformation. Close out, hit yes to save. Now this updates my pattern template. This is not a pattern yet. In order to make it an actual pattern, I need to go to edit and define pattern. And I'm going to name this one football. Text. Hit OK. Close out of this, and now I can say yes to save. All right, and where my previous pattern is, I'm going to duplicate this one. You don't have to duplicate it. You can just literally double click on it and change it. Only reason why I'm duplicating it is so that you have both versions. Create a clip and mask here because, oops, for this one got out of the clip and mask. So I'm just going to hit create clip and mask. Okay, I'll turn off the previous pattern there, and then I'm going to double click on this pattern. Again, I'll come to the drop down. I'll see my football words there, and I have a brand new pattern. I'll leave that one to scale because I feel like that one is a pretty good scale there. And that is it. Of course, you have this rectangle here if you wanted to change the stacked text and keep that rectangle there, you could. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the photo that's here, and I'm going to make the photo pop out here. So I'm going to alt click and drag a version of it in front of the zipper area. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that these two are linked, because wherever photo 1 goes, I want photo 1 to go. So I'm going to hit the link button, and these will already be linked for you, so you don't have to do that. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to control click on my image here, and then I'm going to put behind the zipper pretty much, or would it be easier to, nah, it would definitely be easier to duplicate the image here. All right, so I'm going to erase away part of the person that I don't want in front of the zipper. So we do that. I'm going to do Control Deselect first. I'm going to put a layer mask on it first. And then when I control click on the thumbnail, I get all of this stuff here. And then I want to hold down the, or click on the black here to make sure it's completely black. Perfect. Make sure it's in the foreground. And what I'm doing here is I'm just painting away the areas that I do not want sticking out of the zipper. I could do deselect now, and now it looks like my player is getting ready to throw straight from being unzipped, and that's the goal there. Now we can go ahead and change our primary and secondary color, or color 1 and color 2. I like to collect that from the actual image. So let's say the logo here is where my color 1 is. I can take my eyedropper tool, grab that blue, go to color number 1, and then change color number 1 to the blue by going to my swatches and just hitting that first swatch that's there. Hit yes to save, and then we're going to watch the blue update. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to change color number 2 to blue because I want to show you color number 1 is a different color, so you can really see how it changes. So wherever there was red before is now going to be blue. And it looks like I need to get rid of some more of this image here. So let me grab my paintbrush tool. Do not paint on the image, paint only on the layer mask. And there we go, I cleaned that up. Let's go back to the move tool here. And let's say I actually like this all blue because the colors here are only blue and white. However, let's say that for color number 1, I wanted it to be white. So I'm going to go to color number 1 and change it to white instead. And pure white is going to be all the way up here to the left. Okay, and we'll see that it turns it to a gray color. There's some levels here I want you to play with. One is dark, one is light. And let's go to the levels that are behind the houndstooth design. And you don't have to use these patterns. Like I said, these are just my pattern suggestions for you all to play with. I'm going to turn on the light levels here so that I get a nice pattern that's there, but it's not too dark. If I need to change my levels, I can double click here on the icon and I can shift my midtones, my highlights, and my shadows. Oh, I kind of like the black there. That looks pretty cool. Now I'm confused. Do I want the black or the white? I think I'll go in the middle and go with the gray. Right, and this is something that you're going to have to do depending on whether your color is a light color, a dark color, a pastel, a super vibrant color. A lot of times you're going to have to work with the levels in order to achieve the recoloring effect that you want. And I think I'm going to go a little bit darker. Okay, so changing those levels up and my design is done, y'all. If I want to check and make sure that everything fits as far as an all over shirt, I can turn in my outline here. Looks like everything's good. This one, maybe I don't want a gold zipper. The gold zipper looked good on the other design, but for this one, maybe I want a silver zipper. You can turn off the gold here and it will automatically go silver. You can also change the color of the gold if you wanted the zipper to be green or red or any other color. You can change that there. And then you can also play with the levels here again. If you want a darker color, you can play with changing your midtones, be a little bit darker. You can actually take the lightest color, bring it down so that it does not have a very, very light tone to it at all. And those are ways that you can play with the levels to achieve the color that you want there. I'm going to take it back to the original because I think that light gold is pretty universal. But if you want a darker color or a more intense color, play with those levels there. All right, and I'm going to turn the gold off since I think the silver looks better with this design. And I also think that this pattern, I'm going to go back to this pattern, double click on it. I feel like I want it at an angle. So yeah, I think that looks better. Okay, and I can also go a little bit smaller if I want. Let's say I want to go 130. All right, and now I have a design that's ready to go. I can close everything up here. Make it look real neat. And then I'm going to take this art layer here, right click, quick export as PNG. Now this will be my full artwork here. And this will be number 2. Ready to go. All right, all right, all right. So that is it, my loves. We are ready for class. This file will be ready for download at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the VIP and Platinum VIP. So make sure that you are in the room if you want live help, real live help, helping you get through this file and complete it by tonight so that you all can get the ball rolling with your business. Every single week, we do one of these classes for Photoshop so that you have no excuse of why you aren't learning Photoshop, number 1, and number 2, creating art every single week that you can use to grow and scale your business. So think about what image that you want to replace for the main character image. Think about what type of pattern that you want to create and what your color scheme will be, and come on to class. All right. So with that said, I appreciate you. I love you dearly. And until next time, bye. Take it easy, y'all.